Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning and investing your time with us at our CDW and RingCentral webinar on the future of workplace collaboration. My name is James Wilson. I am a Business Development Manager in our Cloud Services business at CDW, and I'd like to welcome you all here this morning. A couple of housekeeping notes before we move on. For Q&A or questions that you might have throughout the presentation, if you could please direct those questions to the Q&A section in the bottom corner of the WebEx GUI. And in regards to any kind of technical questions regarding analytics, reporting, or any in-depth questions, please direct those to your CDW account manager, who will then engage myself and the RingCentral team to be able to facilitate those questions and any potential demos and things moving forward. Also wanted to let you guys know that we're recording this session, so if you want to refer to it at a later date, obviously you're going to be able to do that. And I suppose with that said, we'll move on into the presentation. If Toussaint, you can just move to the next slide for me, please, that would be great. Thank you. Fantastic. So, again, today is the 1st of August, and on this very day a year ago, we had actually expanded our International Cloud Services program into Canada, basically taking the best practices from our international UK and US businesses and rolling them out into Canada. And when we did that, we had agreed to roll out 3 pillars into Canada to facilitate what our customers had been asking for and what we had seen as trends across the industry. And so those 3 pillars that we brought into Canada were Cloud Plan, which is a cloud readiness assessment tool, Cloud Care, which is our managed services for Azure, and beta testing for AWS coming up soon. And then third, and potentially most importantly, our cloud community, which is where RingCentral falls into, and RingCentral being one of our premier UCaaS partners, is delivering a message to you today, obviously, on the future of workplace collaboration. And there's a reason that RingCentral is #1 in their space, in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, and why they've seen so much success over the last few years in their market. And I'm hoping that the presentation being delivered by Toussaint Celestin today from RingCentral will be able to shed some light on why that is the case, and potentially how a UCaaS platform can really propel your business to the next level, both internally and externally. But without any, in fact, if you have a look at the cloud community logos there, I'm not sure if any of them look familiar to you, but all of those logos are partners in our cloud community, and just like CDW has done in the past in bringing hardware and software vendors and solution vendors to you, and really trying to bring an agnostic approach to the market, the same can be said for our cloud services business and what we've attempted to do, and in fact, so far has been very successful in doing, in offering all types of cloud services to our customers across the board, not only here in Canada, but also in the UK and US. Moving on to the meat and potatoes of the presentation, I want to quickly do a quick intro on Toussaint. In fact, thanks, Toussaint, who is a Senior Product Marketing Manager in the channel with RingCentral, and will be presenting for you today. Toussaint is a seasoned thought leader in the cloud communications and high-tech industries, has over 20 years of experience at top brands including AMD, Creative Labs, AOL, Time Warner, M5 Networks, and in fact worked for the RingCentral competition in the past as well. He is a product marketing lead at RingCentral, and you'll find him hosting quarterly channel release webinars, or new release webinars, I should say, and that's new releases on the RingCentral platform, and presenting at regional partner academies and events across the US and Canada. In addition to highlighting novel use cases for cloud phone solutions, he delights in helping customers think differently about how cloud communications can disrupt business processes to deliver greater top-line growth. And I think that's really the key here, and hoping the reason that you guys have joined us this morning. So without any further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Toussaint to deliver the webinar on the future of workplace collaboration. Thanks, Toussaint.
Awesome. Thank you, James. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And let me just do a mic check. You can hear me just fine?
We can hear you loud and clear, Tasson.
Excellent. So I appreciate everyone taking out the time in their busy morning to join us and CDW. CDW being one of our stellar and premier partners, we're happy to bring this webinar to you. And I really hope that you do find it informative. It's really a webinar that we hope will help open up your eyes about the future of the workplace and how cloud phones, cloud PBX can help change the game when it comes to delivering great business solutions and solving business pain points. So for anyone who joined or just joined or joined a little late, let me just reiterate that this webinar is being recorded, so no need to take notes. Link will be sent out to you so you can watch this at your leisure. And we won't take questions in between the sections just for the sake of the entire audience. We'll try and save those till the end. I'll try and get to as many of them as possible, but what I can't get to, we'll definitely capture and follow up with you offline. So with that, let me start out by just giving you a snapshot of what my intent is for this webinar. So I'm not a big fan of doing real techno, geeky, feed and speed type demos or webinars. I think you can get a lot of that information by connecting with your CDW account manager, and you can find a lot of that online as well. My intent today is to do three things. First is to help you think differently about cloud PBX. I want you to get away from the mindset of this is a cost center, this is a necessary evil, this is just about dial tone, this is about just having blinking lights in a closet. Rather, I'd like you to think of cloud PBX as a game changer for your business, a way in which you can really, kind of, turn up the dial when it comes to how your business operates, employee to employee, employee to customer, management to employee. So there are a number of ways in which we think that cloud communication systems can really be a part of the secret sauce that helps businesses compete and get to that next level. Secondarily, I'd like you to think that RingCentral is more than just a phone system. We have a full suite of solutions from contact center to phone PBX to team messaging and collaboration and global solutions. But beyond all of that, we're a platform. And that means that we have a lot of power to not only deliver a lot of good stuff to you out of the box, but to also allow people to build to that platform to maximize ROI for today's technology and tomorrow's. And then lastly, I'd like you to think in terms of being a maverick, and I'd like to have you walk away feeling a bit more empowered as to how both of these two aspects can help disrupt and spur growth within your business. Everywhere I turn today, whether it's IBM, AOL, or Apple or Google, everyone's talking disruption. And we think that internally, these are the types of thought processes that will help businesses change the landscape, but also employees to grow in their careers. So I think that's the most important part about what I hope you take away from our presentation. On the second point, and James mentioned this, we're very proud of the fact that we're recognized across the industry by industry analysts and third parties, many of which you're familiar here. I only have 3 of them listed. Gartner, Magic Quadrant Leader. We keep distancing ourselves from the competition. It's been 3 years in a row that we've been farthest right in this quadrant. And completeness of vision, I think, points to the fact, again, that our platform is very holistic and we're very truly a pure cloud player. Frost & Sullivan, IHS Markit, and there are a slew of others, but, RingCentral is so much more than just dial tone and cloud PBX, and I think that's underscored by some of the recognition that we've received. On the third point that I mentioned in my intent, there are a lot of different ways that I can slice and dice the workplace to help us kind of approach and understand how cloud communications can help address the business challenges and pains we were talking about. I'm going to do it by looking at it from a people's perspective and looking at three areas. The first is the employee experience, or most notably, how do employees collaborate with each other, and how can Cloud PBX facilitate that? And then another aspect I'll look into is minimizing application overload. You might be wondering what that's all about. You'll find out in just a second. The customer experience. You know, half of a business's brand is really judged by how they connect and solve customer problems, technical support, customer service. I want to talk about ways that we can help improve that. And then lastly, how do managers and executives go about seeing cloud communications as a way in which they can manage better? Perhaps we can get some rich analytics, some BI, and perhaps we can talk about some integrations that can help that system really hook into all the other aspects of the business to make them work more smoothly and efficiently. So with that, let me start with challenge area number one, the employee aspects of it, and I'm going to talk about two topics, generational demographics and application overload. I mean, suffice it to say, I think everybody gets the premise here. We are working in a world that's radically different from just a few decades ago. It's an anytime, anywhere, any device. Connect with your fellow workers from home, from the road, from the airport, in small huddle rooms, large conference rooms, across the state, across the nation, across the globe. You need to be able to do it however you like, and what that means, and this trend will just continue moving forward, is that we're highly mobile, and RingCentral, as a mantra, designs all our solutions and UIs to be very mobile-centric. We're highly digital, but one aspect I find when I talk to prospective customers that's overlooked is that we're highly multi-generational. And by that, what I mean is there was a time not too long ago where you had just one or two generations working under a single workforce roof. And today we have what we call the disruption of the work environment, where not only people are working from everywhere, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 demographic generations working under one roof. Now, what does that mean to you as you're thinking about a cloud communication system? Well, for each of those cohorts, you have different and preferred methods of communication. So for my good fellow here to the left, part of the baby boomer or the greatest generation, really preferred picking up the phone and making a phone call. I have colleagues from this generation, and they still reach out to me this way. They'll leave a voicemail if they don't get through to me, and they'll expect a call back. I'm a Gen Xer, and that's all fine and well, but I'm closer to the millennial, and I may use the phone, but I'm just as likely to use a soft phone or my mobile phone. Fax, not so much. And I'm a lot friendlier when it comes to texting and using other modes of collaboration. The millennials, entirely different story. I don't think you can get them to pick up the phone. Every time I go to the mall with my daughter, we'll invariably set a time and a place to hook up. We don't hook up. I reach out. I say, "Where are you, Mary?" And she doesn't pick up the phone. I send her a text. I get an emoji back. We're, passing each other in the halls, and I'm just begging for her to just give me a call. It would be a lot more efficient. But the point is, that's just not her behavior. That's not the way she likes to communicate. And so we've got to be attuned to those preferred methods of communication. Dial forward, and you've got Generation D or the I generation, whatever you want to call it. This will be a generation that won't even want to use devices. They'll just want to say, "Siri, Alexa, call Pizza Hut and have them deliver a pizza to my doorstep, and they'll look out for that drone, right? I mean, these are highly different methods of communication, and the takeaway here is you shouldn't have 3, 4, 5 different tools to satisfy the preferences for each of these cohorts. And yet you want them to be able to communicate the way they want to, because that's going to just make their life a lot more facilitated, right? It removes the complexity of technology. So here at RingCentral, a lot of our mantra internally here, as we like to refer to, for all of you J.R.R. Tolkien fans out there, one ring to rule them all, right? Have one platform that actually satisfies all these modes of communication: team messaging, video meetings, contact centers, cloud PBX, texting, faxing, hard phone, desk phone support, all of which are supported on the RingCentral platform. I have a great case study here from with Dan Burke talking about how their 5,000 employees selected RingCentral for that very reason. Dental professionals from all across the nation needing to share files, needing to fax information, needing to help with diagnoses, and doing it off of any device, mobile or desktop. And one of the key reasons they selected RingCentral was because they had that flexibility. This is a great case study. I would encourage you to reach out to your CDW account manager if you'd like a copy of it, or if you'd like them to point you to the video. But it underscores the point that you need to start thinking differently about what that phone system is going to be able to do for you and the multiple generations in your workforce. I talked about application overload. It's the second aspect of an employee challenge that I think is germane to our conversation about the future of the workplace. And I think everyone can relate to this one too, right? So I don't know about you, but I have a dozen plus applications I need to log into every day and manage. I've got one for expense reports, one for sales activities and CRM applications, another one to handle my HR activities, another one for various communication methods. But actually, I should correct that and let you know that for communication, I just have a single one, and it's RingCentral, and it allows me to do everything from phone calls to texting to faxing, etc. But for most employees, they do suffer from what we call application overload, and that means remembering a myriad of passwords, a number of user credentials. It's a very convoluted way of trying to connect with each other or the outside world. We had a number of surveys that we conducted. RingCentral did some third parties, including Wall Street Journal, did some others. And, you know, no matter how you look at it, you're looking at a large amount of time that's wasted trying to log in, log out, switch applications, as much as a month over the course of a year. It's also a headache for your IT professional needing to upgrade these applications and manage all those users. Wall Street Journal went ahead and underscored that, saying that employees recently are struggling to cope with an abundance of tools. Now workplaces are recognizing that there's a risk of communications overload. And so from a management perspective, people are trying to bring technologies in a way that can simplify their workers' lives. So I'm going to talk about one aspect of RingCentral's solution, and it's called GLIP. It's our team messaging and collaboration solution, and we think it satisfies and addresses this business pain and really allows people to get on with the business at hand and not have the technology hinder them. GLIP is all about unifying that application experience. It's mobile-centric by design, so it works just as well on your iPhone or your Android phone as it does on a tablet or a desktop. You can still use your desk phone if you prefer. Those three icons in the middle panel, upper right, allow you to not only communicate with teams and other employees in a fashion that's very familiar to most people, just like you would on a text messaging application, but you can elevate this conversation and initiate a call all from the same UI, connect with a single person or a team, and even elevate that to a video meeting on the fly, whether you're in your car, in the airport, or at your desk. So this again is really facilitates and takes the complexity of technology out of the way. I have a few snapshots of what Glip looks like up close. I talked about those 3 icons in the top right-hand corner that allows you to seamlessly go from a text conversation to a conference call or a video call. You'll notice the left-hand panel is your directory, if you will, allowing you to have one-to-one or one-to-many conversations. And perhaps my favorite section is the bookshelf, the right-hand panel. So this is where you can upload notes, share files, no file size limitation here, by the way, have GIFs, have links to URLs, all of that contained in a single static persistent space. So what that means is if I'm creating a group to, say, set up this webinar, and we shared a lot of files, CDW and myself, well, if someone new joins the team, halfway through the process, I don't need to forward a bunch of emails. I don't need to have people digging through to find the right attachment, trying to remember a subject line. I just add them to this team. Boom. Everything that's on that bookshelf is accessible to them as well. A very powerful tool, and we think it goes a long way in helping that workflow between employees. There are a lot of other bells and whistles that I won't belabor this venue with, but suffice it to say, you can do a lot more than just share files. You can manage calendars for a project. You can assign tasks. You can even communicate with emojis, something we like to do a lot here at RingCentral. Glip, by the way, perhaps the best part of the equation, comes free. It's included with the RingCentral Office application. All information at transit or at rest is encrypted, so you can rest assured that it's safe and it's business ready. And files are stored, and there's an unlimited file size. And you heard me correct. It's not as if you have 1 gigabyte and then costs kick in. This is all you can eat. So I definitely think it raises the bar on that score. A few key takeaways. We think RingCentral as a one-stop platform supports that multi-generational complex that impacts the workforce today and allows employees to work in a preferred manner. It eliminates the application overload that I think many of us are familiar with. And, last point is I think it also helps from a hiring perspective. I think today we all know that we're in a tight labor market, so if you're trying to hire that hotshot programmer and you can't tell them that they can work from home, they don't have a soft phone, they can't carry their company communications in their pocket, I think, prospective employees have choices today. And so this is a conversation that impacts not just the IT director, but is of interest to HR as far as employee hiring, but also employee retention. Just another note I wanted to throw out there. Kimberly with Hawkridge, a testimonial here about how she really appreciated Glip as a key factor in adopting RingCentral within her organization. They're a 3D CAD outfit, engineering firm. They were redesigning their website, something that would take about 3 to 4 months to complete. They reduced that time to market by 50%. It came in just under a month, really facilitated by their ability to collaborate wherever they were within the country using Glip. And she ends her testimonial, there's a nice video about it, actually talking about how we added a little element of fun. They like to share a lot of gifts with one another as they're closing out their days, kind of making fun and poking fun with one another. And so it added a little levity to the process. I think that's also something that Glip can afford new customers. So enough about Glip. Let me transition to challenge area number 2. If you joined us late, let me remind everyone that we are recording this, so you will get a link to this recording after the webinar. And we're holding off questions till the end of the webinar, but feel free to go ahead and start putting those into your Q&A box, and we'll try to get to as many of them as possible towards the end of the webinar. So customer experience, I mentioned this at the top of the hour. How can you go about using a cloud communication system to improve the experience between customers and your business? Another survey, I think this one strikes home with most everyone. That interaction between customer and company can make or break the lifetime and wallet share of a business with a customer in very critical ways. Customers say that that experience can impact their brand loyalty. 70% of them say that that's going to be a determining factor, and how that experience is managed on the other side can make or break the workforce that manages those interactions. If it's a cumbersome, convoluted process, you might not get that nice, friendly, smiling voice on the other end of the phone that you're expecting. You know, we love those millennials, and this is even more so for this generation. I think any generation, quite frankly. You know, today we want to be able to pick up the phone, put in our information, not be asked the second time to put in our birth date and our social security number and our account number when we've already told the IVR menu. We want to be able to communicate with a business, start the conversation perhaps via text, online, maybe a chat, maybe migrate to a phone call later on if we really need to get into some delicate issues. And we don't want to have to start over from scratch, right? Millennials in particular, they want to start off with a text. If they reach you by phone later on, you should be able to pick up the ball and continue running with the conversation rather than have to start over. So, you know, how that is handled has a huge impact on not only loyalty, but referrals, right? That millennial, if they don't like the experience, they're increasingly likely to defect, less likely to purchase again, and they love their social networks, right? So they're happy to tell their friends and family about how great or how terrible that customer experience was. We think this is an opportunity for today and the future. If a business wants to grow, why not get a phone system that, again, simplifies that process and allows for people to connect with your business in multifaceted fashions, empower your agents, and empower that customer to come again. So I won't go through a number of use cases, but the takeaway here is that we have a contact center solution with RingCentral that marries with our PBX solution, providing a single experience, a simple unified reporting set of tools that allows management to look and monitor, to measure everything from call volume. How many calls are coming in per hour? How long are the average wait times? How many times is a customer being transferred? You know, how long is the average agent dealing with a particular customer? Are we experiencing agent burnout towards the end of the shift? All these bits of information can help drive how management not only staffs their call center, but how they make sure that customer experience is meeting the SLAs that they set. Of course, we want that system to be integrated, so we have hooks into all the popular CRM applications and more. So if that customer's information is in Zendesk or Salesforce or you name it, you know, you can have RingCentral pull that information in so that customer doesn't have to repeat themselves. The agent can simply verify that this is their account number, this is the phone number to call them back, this is put your pertinent information here. Applications and integrations underscore our open API and our philosophy to allow customers to bring in everything they have today and be prepared to hook into other applications they may need to integrate with in the future. And of course, I was talking about management tools. There are a plethora of tools that help management not only monitor agent performance, but help coach agents. If it's a new agent, you have the ability to whisper, to barge, to be able to babysit that conversation until they get their sea legs, to ensure, again, that you have a pristine customer experience. Snapshot here of some of those dashboard metrics I was referring to. So these are customizable, but there are many that come out of the box. You can monitor your call queues, which agents are available, which ones are occupied, which ones are unavailable or on break, so you can optimize your workforce load. You can measure performance based on established SLAs, and again, everything from call volume and hold times are accessible, not just from a desktop, but equally so on a wall board, so you can see it from anywhere within a call center bullpen. I think these are powerful tools that, again, help a business today and tomorrow really elevate the customer experience, which is perhaps at the heart of building profitability and raising the bar as far as revenues are concerned. So key takeaways, you want to think about RingCentral being a partner when it comes to improving the customer experience, especially in today's environment that's an on-demand need for speed environment. We at RingCentral think having those tools really elevates and helps the customer experience become a more elegant one, particularly when you allow customers to reach you and to switch between multiple vehicles, text, chat, online, phone. And then lastly, it's all about BI, it's all about metrics. The more you know, the smarter you can work, and RingCentral definitely delivers on that score. I have a fabulous case study here, Brinker International. You know them by some of the brands that they own throughout North America. They are a premier customer of RingCentral, 1,000 restaurants, 700 came on board in less than 3 weeks. The phone is their storefront. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? They miss a call or they can't manage a burst in calls based on the time of year, and they lose business. People go to another provider, right? So a great testimonial here from their VP of IT talking about why they selected RingCentral, because of not only our robust ability to stay online and have great uptimes, but also those BI analytics and metrics that we could deliver to them in real time. I encourage you, again, to reach out to your CDW account manager. They'll be happy to get you more information on that score. Challenge area number 3. So, from a supervisor, mid-level, frontline, or executive perspective, it's all about maximizing ROI and improving workflows. And a lot of that, for this section, we believe, has to deal with having an open system. So I'm going to step away from script. I was reading the Wall Street Journal. If there are any Wall Street Journal readers out there, if you have Saturday's paper, go back to it. This is a great article that talks about why the biggest companies keep getting bigger in contrast to just a few decades ago, where you had an environment where you had a leader, but you had fast followers, and there were plenty of people who could make a good living being in 3rd, 4th, 5th, or even 10th place. But today, it's all or nothing, all right? You've got Amazon, and there's nobody else. You have Google, and there's nobody else. You have Apple, and everybody else is a distant 2nd or 3rd player. And the analyst was trying to explain why, and they go into a bit more detail than I can here, talking about the proliferation of technology, how in the past you could do something like adopt Microsoft Word and transition from WordPerfect or Lotus 1-2-3, for those of you who are old enough to remember those apps, and You can change your internal processes, everything works smoothly, more efficiently, and you deliver a better product, you come to market faster, woohoo, right? But your competitor can do the same thing rather quickly. But today, not so much. What you're seeing is that the biggest players take their money and they double down on technology by investing and building very proprietary technology, really investing to make it custom so that the technology really is their secret sauce in how they do what they do and how they deliver what they do. I have a quote here from this article saying, tech companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Apple, as well as some of your more traditional manufacturers like General Motors, Pfizer, and Roche, built their own software, inventing and perfecting their own processes instead of aligning their business model with some outside developer's idea of it. I think the takeaway for you is that I think if anybody out there is looking at their own internal business, you'll come away thinking, we do things a little bit differently. We have processes that are very unique to our business that distinguish and differentiate us from the competition. And if we can marry the technology to mirror that, then we're one step closer to being impossible to replicate or reverse engineer. And that's a competitive advantage, right? And RingCentral, we want to embolden that ability by offering a platform that allows for customization to every business using our open platform. So that's my takeaway for this third challenge for all management. You want to be able to maximize the ROI for whatever you have on hand today. And some of you may have an on-premise system with those lights blinking in the box, and you want to maximize the ROI on that. I don't blame you. Your accountant needs to amortize that for a few more years. Great, have at it. But you might want to go ahead and pilot test a RingCentral solution and still be able to hook into it and integrate it, and you can do that using our open platform. But beyond cloud communications, everything else that you have, whether it's custom or another CRM application or something off the shelf, we will work with it, and if we don't out of the box, we can help you build to it. So on the left here, I highlight that we have over 130 applications that come with integration out of the box from RingCentral. I'll mention a few in just a couple of slides. And then we have our Connect RingCentral platform, which is a full suite of APIs and SDKs that's aggressively used by a number of customers and third-party developers throughout the globe, really tapping into our open platform and our team of engineers who help you build to our platform. So some of the integrations that come out of the box, these are familiar brand names. You'll recognize them all: Microsoft, Salesforce, Google, just to name a few. I should mention that we are a strategic Google business partner. We have an exclusive RingCentral edition on the Google e-commerce site, and we have single sign-on with Google. So we know a number of businesses are Google exclusive, end-to-end. They don't want any other productivity suite, and so we allow people to sign into their RingCentral platform using their Google credentials, user email and user password. Just another way in which we think fast forward and try and make our technology as minimally complex as possible so that end users can go about the business at hand. Snapshot of some of the Microsoft integrations that come out of the box, so Office 365, Outlook, Calendar, Skype for Business, Dynamics, OneDrive, and Identity. So not to worry, if these are on hand, you can go ahead and leverage a lot of the power of RingCentral to call across the state or across the globe and still have these as have RingCentral as a tray pulling out as a plug-in of many of these applications. Same thing on the Google side, working with the Chrome browser and OS, Gmail, Calendar, G Drive if you want to share documentation, if you want to drive a fax after you have a phone call to anyone within your Google directory, and of course I mentioned single sign-on. All of these come ready to go with the RingCentral system. But of course, you have stuff on hand, you have legacy systems, you have things that have been customized, and so we want to empower you, not just for what you have on hand, but quite frankly, I can't tell you what's coming down the line 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road. What I can tell you is that businesses can feel secure and know that they're prepared for the future with a RingCentral system because we can always hook into it. We're one of the most innovative companies out there. 4 releases every year. We take feedback from our customers and often design new features based on the feedback from our customer community, but that open platform enables and empowers all of that innovation. A couple of use cases, I won't belabor the point and go through all of them, but I'm sure many of you are familiar with the ones where your doctor's office or your dentist sends you that reminder via text or via phone call. You have an appointment, it's coming up next week, press 1 to confirm, press 2 to cancel, press 3 to change your appointment, things of that nature. They're hooking into a platform to allow their systems to work with a cloud PBX solution. Those are some of the things that you can do with the RingCentral platform very easily with our SDKs and APIs. You want to go ahead and share files from your Box or Dropbox or G Drive with others within your company. You can go ahead and marry those solutions with RingCentral with simplicity and ease. There are a number of other ways which you can leverage our open platform, and many of the brands you see here have done exactly that across all verticals and across all business segments. Some snapshots for our, what we call the app gallery. So every time we have a customer or a third-party partner build to our platform, we test, certify it, and if it meets standard, we go ahead and promote it on our app gallery. We have a number of applications that have graduated and are listed, and you can see a few of them here. So some of the takeaways, it's more than just dial tone, right? It's more than just saving a few shekels on long distance. It's about building and having a system on hand that can help you in multiple ways as well, and in this aspect, by helping you leverage what you have on hand as well as prepare for the future using that one platform, framework, and foundation. We think we help you do that with our open API, and we think that having not only our built-in and custom integrations helps you double down again on that customer service and that experience from employee to employee, so that you can really focus on that how we do things, and you can really focus on being one of those bigger players that keeps getting a bigger share of the market. I had one more case study. Again, feel free to reach out to your CDW account manager if you want a copy of this. Teachers College really embraced our single platform. They're the oldest university for education in North America, offices and locations throughout the globe. Our out-of-the-box integration with Google was instrumental in them choosing RingCentral as their platform of choice, being able to click to dial straight from the Google application without having to switch screens. Was just one of the many reasons that they speak to in this case study. And again, reach out to your CDW account manager for these and any other resources you might need. We have just a boatload of content that I think can help you really understand more of the power that RingCentral can bring to your business. Thought leadership white papers, success stories, case studies, videos, etc. And so CDW would be happy to help deliver those to you. And I think with that, I am going to pause and take a look at any questions that we may have from the audience. Again, while I do that, anyone who joined recently, do not feel chagrined. We are recording this webinar, so a link will be sent out to you, and you can see it from end to end at your leisure on demand. I just have a few questions, and then I'll turn it back over to you, James. I have this gentleman, Patrick, asking, so I guess it seemed too good to be true. Is GLIP file storage truly unlimited? So rest assured, Patrick, at this time, and I see no indication that this will change in the future, you can have a 1 gigabyte, 10 gigabyte, 50 gigabyte file. I use GLIP all the time over email because many email system servers now max out, and they have limitations on how you can, how large a file you can share between employees and the outside public. In fact, I was working with Colleen as we were working on this webinar, and it was a fat presentation. We were sharing this, going back and forth. And Colleen wasn't a GLIP user at CDW, and that's not a problem. I simply invited her. We're in a sheltered, single, one-on-one communication, and we shared files back and forth, large files. No limitation is the short answer there, Patrick. It truly is unlimited. The only restriction has to deal with your the speed of your connection, right? So if it takes longer than, I believe, 180 seconds, that's about 3 minutes to upload the file, you may experience some anomalies. That's an incredibly long period of time to upload a file. I've never hit that threshold, but you may need to move to a better connection. Otherwise, the more the merrier. As big, as fast as the file can be, feel free to use it. No limitations there, and no time limitations either. So you can store that file for 30, 60, 90 days, a year, 2 years. We don't care. Again, it's all you can eat, and we think that's a key differentiator for our solution. And it is encrypted, let me just repeat that, both in transit and at rest. I have another question here from John, and it's a bit of a big question. I'll try and answer as much of it as I can. But again, CDW will be happy to provide you with some detailed comparisons. Question is, how does RingCentral compare to some of the other cloud communication suites out there like Slack or Teams? Excellent question, John, and let me just kind of try to pick off a few bullet points. I think at a foundational perspective, the best way to think about it is, they're all great solutions, but, RingCentral is the only pure cloud player out there when it comes to these solutions. So we start from communications and from phones and build out. Other applications such as Teams, they start from a productivity suite perspective, and they design to that, and then they build out. So, what does that mean when it comes to an end user experience? So with RingCentral, not only do we have, I think, a more robust feature set from a PBX perspective, right? So you get your ability to do the team collaboration, but you can elevate to a video meeting, you can have an audio conference call, you have the find me, follow me, you have the auto receptionist, you have 100 different, call log and call-based features that I don't think you'll find in other applications. But beyond that, we have the ability to deliver that service on a global basis. Our global office solution lets you dial up a user in France or in Japan. They can dial up RingCentral and get a user going in a matter of 10 minutes on the phone. They buy a license, that soft phone is working as soon as that credit card clears, and they have all the capability to dial in over 100 countries across the globe in an instant. We provide everything from that dial tone to all the features to that global capability on a secure platform with a contact center, with faxing, with you name it. So I think it's a more comprehensive solution. And then finally, we're incredibly innovative, right? So we innovate 4 times a year, and often we will customize solutions specifically for a customer if the business case makes sense. And, you know, I love a lot of the solutions that are out there from Microsoft and other competitors, but I don't know when looking at specifically a PBX solution that you would get that kind of aggressive innovation cycle. So let me close out by just saying, you know, for us, cloud communications, it's our burger, right? That's our burger. It's not the fries to the equation, whereas I think with other solutions, you might be getting more of the fries instead of the burger of the Happy Meal. I think I have, and then I will pass it on to you, James. And any other questions, I apologize. We will capture those and follow up with you offline. But Harold is asking what type of hard phone devices does RingCentral support? That's a great question. And so, you know, going back to that earlier point, so for that employee who prefers to pick up the phone and give you a call, we support Cisco, Yealink, Polycom, a very strong partner of ours, and all the standard brands that are out there, and all the series of phones that come out from those brand names. So suffice it to say, I think we cover most of the bases from a hard desk phone perspective, and then of course, as I mentioned, you know, our soft phone and our application works on every mobile device, regardless of OS, Apple, Android. It works off a browser. It truly is an agnostic, anytime, anywhere device. I think that's enough out of me. You all are probably tired of hearing my voice, but again, I appreciate everyone being here for this webinar and staying on for this long, and I thank CDW for inviting RingCentral to share some of this thought leadership with you. And with that, James, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Toussaint, and we really appreciate your presentation. You did a great job. Thank you very much. To the attendees, please feel free to reach out to your account managers and set up a demo. I think when you see the product in its entirety and take a look at the GUI, the analytics, the reporting, and all of the features within the RingCentral platform, it will sell itself. And in fact, you might just be able to be challenged with how to integrate it into your organization. But if you have any questions, thoughts, or want to set up a demo, please reach out to your CDW account manager. They'd be more than happy to set that up with myself and RingCentral. Other than that, we hope you enjoyed the webinar today. Thank you again for attending, and have a fantastic week. Thanks, guys.